Elements of prose fiction. Elements of prose fiction. We have 5 elements of prose fiction. We have 5 elements of prose fiction. These are plot, setting, characterization, point of view, theme or subject matter, or motif. So let's just start with plot. Plot refers to the sequence in which the events in the story are arranged. That refers to the sequence in which the events in the story are arranged. The order in which the events in the story are arranged. In terms of which event happened first, which one happened next, and so on and so forth. In terms of which event happened first, which one happened next, and so on and so forth. Authors usually are at liberty to organize the events in the way they want. They can take the first event to the end of the novel and take the last event to the beginning of the novel. But it is the duty of the critic, the reader, to know after reading the story which event came first, which one came last, irrespective of how the author arranged them. So plots is usually organized so as to achieve climax. Plot is usually organized so as to achieve perfect climax in the work of art. Plot is usually organized so as to achieve climax in the work of art. We have chronological plots. Another name for the chronological plot is the linear plot. Another name for the chronological plot is the linear plot. Linear. You can also call it organic plot. You can also call it what? Organic plot. In this type of plot, the events flow from the beginning to the end. In this type of plot, the events flow from the beginning to the end. The events are organized in terms of how they happened, from the first to the last. For instance, if you have 3 events, you can arrange them as follows. 1, in the morning, Mrs. Peters In the morning, Mrs. Peters left the house for the office. Left the house for the office. Number 2. In the afternoon, her husband received a call. In the afternoon, her husband received a call that he should rush to the hospital where Mrs. Peter had been admitted. Number 3. Mr. Peters got to the hospital just as the wife is pronounced dead by the doctor. Mr. Peters got to the hospital just as the wife is pronounced dead by the doctor. So in that story, you see that it follows chronologically from the beginning to the end. And that's the chronological plot. But then we also have non-chronological plot. We have non-chronological plot. In non-chronological plot, the story, the events are arranged perhaps from the end but they do not follow orderly the sequence of occurrence. The events are arranged perhaps from the end or even from the middle, but do not follow orderly from the beginning. There's a specific name for the non-chronological plot that begins from the middle. There's a name given to the non-chronological plot structure which begins from the middle. It is called in medias res. It's called in medias res. In medias res. It's called in medias res. Medias res. Medias res is Latin for in the middle of things. In the middle of the thing. In the middle of things. And it is usually the plot structure of the epic. The plot structure of the epic. Where the events begin from the middle of where the story begins from the middle of everything. The middle of events. So that's a type of non-chronological plot in medias res. So in this first story that we gave, you can give another sequence. Another sequence, right? So start with the second event. Start with the second event. Make the second event first event. Quickly. Make the second event the first event. So two terms are usually discussed in setting. You must know two terms when talking about setting. You must know two terms. These are time and place. What's a time and place? Time and place. These are the two terms that are usually implicated in the discussion of setting in the verb. Time and place. So setting refers to the time and the place that the work of art is situated. Time and the place that the work of art is situated. Time and the place that the work of art is situated. Setting refers to the spatio-temporal dimension of the work of literature. The spatio-temporal dimension of the work of literature. The spatio-temporal dimension of the work of literature. That's setting. So, in terms of place, a work of art can be set in the land or on land, can be set on the sea or in the sea. It can be set in the outer space. In terms of place, a work of art can be set in the air, can be set on land, can be set on the sea, can be set in outer space. Okay? Again, in terms of place, a work of art can be set. A work of art can have a riverine setting. Riverine setting. Riverine setting. That means set near a river or in a river. Set near water. Riverine setting. A work of art can also have a pastoral setting, as if it is set in the countryside. Pastoral setting. A work of art can have a pastoral setting. That is, if the work is set in the countryside, like in the village, right? Like in the village. Right? Now you gotta be more. Work of art can have a rural setting. A rural setting. Rural. That means it's set in a rural area. The work of art can also be set in an urban center. Urban center. Right? URBAN. Urban center. That's in the city space. URBAN. Urban center. Urban. Okay? Urban. The work of art can be set, work of art can have extraterrestrial setting. Extraterrestrial setting, that means set in outer space. Set in outer space. Set among the other planets. Outer space, outside the Earth. Okay? So when writing your story, you can determine the setting of the work. And it is not just because you want to say that the work is set in a village. You must show us that the work is set in a village by the things you depict, the kind of houses you depict, the kind of people who are there, the totality of the environment. Okay? In the village, you must have some mud houses, a lot of bush, some snakes, the hooting of the owl, the cricket whistling, Okay? And it has to be a bit quieter compared to the city. So you must incorporate all the features of rural life when you're setting your work in a countryside. The same thing if you're setting in the city. The features of urban space must be there. So that it will be what? Realistic. So that the work can be realistic. In terms of time, that's temporality. Work of art can be set in the morning. Work of art can be set in the afternoon. And the work of art can be set in the evening. Work of art can be set at night. Work of art can be set at night. Work of art can be set in the present. Work of art can be set in the past. The work of art can be set in the future. Work of art can be set in the morning, afternoon, or evening, or night. Work of art can be set in the present, in the past, or in the future. It's those work of art that set in the future that you hear in the year 5029. Okay? You begin in the year 5029, we are still in 2024, and you're talking about 5029 because the author is trying to wonder out how life will look like some centuries ahead. And so we need you to have that kind of imagination, imagining into the future to see how life will look like, away from contemporary realities. That's what creative writers do. A good example is 1981 by George Orwell. How many of you have read 1981? 1984, sorry. We have read 1984 by George Orwell. That's another novel that you should read in your lifetime. Okay, so write it down, write it somewhere. And determine in yourself that someday, as long as the earth tarries, that you read 1984 by George Orwell, right? This is the author of Animal Farm. You read Animal Farm?
Yeah.
Good. So George Orwell. Okay. This is the author of Animal Farm. Okay, where you have Boxer, Napoleon, and Snowball. Okay? No, that's great character in the world. But he also wrote 1984, which at the time it was written was a futuristic novel. But all that it imagined have come to pass. For instance, we talked about technology, most of the technology we use today. The fact that you are speaking and your phone is writing it down. The speak-write machine isn't George Orwell's work. And he wrote it before we even knew that such a thing will ever happen. And so nothing stops you from imagining into the future of the realities that will confront man many centuries to come. You might not be wrong. Okay? It could be that by 5029 we'll be living in Mars. Your offspring, then all of you must have become ancestors. Right? And your offspring are now living in Mars and other planets because the Earth has been destroyed by nuclear war. Sometime in 3050, the Earth was destroyed by nuclear war. And the strongest and the more foresighted human beings who left the earth before them to live in Mars are the only survivors from the earth. Okay, so we are imagining a story. I want the imagination to run wild, because that's what creative writers do. They have very wild imagination and think of any possibilities. Alright. So sometimes when you read a work, the setting is given by maybe a year. I just mentioned year 2000. Peter went to buy food at the shop. We now know that the temperature of the work is in the 21st century. So when you are reading a work of art as a student of literature, you need to pay attention to the marks that point us to the setting, temporal setting of the work. Sometimes it's a key event, a popular event. Like if someone mentions September 11, the event of September 11 in the US. Okay? When the terrorists attacked the US. It's an event in the 21st century. Setting can also be seen in the language that the people speak in the work of art. For instance, works that are set in the England of the 21st century will now have people speaking like Shakespeare in thous and these. Okay? In years and so on. You know that. No, they don't speak like that anymore. That happened in the 16th century. The language has changed with the times. Now they speak something faster, something simpler. They have lost all those archaisms, called an archaism. Thee. If you come across thee and thou in today's speech, we call them what? Archaism. It's even a trope in literature, we call it archaism. And people are speaking in the literature of Nigeria in contemporary times, and they are likely to use pidgin. To communicate, and so on and so forth. They're likely to throw in one Yoruba word once in a while, one Igbo word, depending on where the person comes from. One Igbo word once in a while. The dressing of the characters can also point to setting, or should align with the setting. Time in terms of time and place. Sometimes in school here, we normally ask them to dress like in the old school days. Meaning that people don't dress like that anymore. And if you come to school on a regular day like that, we wonder where you're coming from. Why you're living in the 80s or the 70s. Okay, you know that person that people wear shorts and then they put tie, sun tie. And then they wear sandals and put on socks. Okay? But in that time, it was like fashion. Okay? But now it's old school. Right? But we don't dress like that anymore. So supposing you are to depict an event in the 70s, and that's the kind of dress that people have to put on. The kind of trousers that could be tight here, and then we get to the last part, we will open like this, like an umbrella, and then the shoes that consume all the trees in the forest because of the sole, so hard. Okay, so you're wondering how many trees they use in making that sole that the person is working on. Okay? But we don't wear those kind of shoes anymore. Okay? People now wear Italian shoes. There are light and purpose. So what are we supposed to talk about? What is I'm supposed to talk about? Characterization. I want to talk about characterization. Characterization refers to the act of creating characters in a literary work. Characterization refers to the act of creating characters in a literary work. The act of creating characters in a literary work. That is characterization. And characters are the fictional human beings depicted in a work of art. Characters are the fictional human beings depicted in a work of art. Characters are the fictional human beings depicted in the work of art. In creative writing, the author, that's you, because we are raising you guys to be authors. The author creates a world. The author creates a world. And because he creates a world, he has to create people who will live in that world, who will live and act in that world. And this is where character creation comes in. This is where character creation comes in. This is where character creation comes in. Characters are those who play roles in a work of art. And these roles are assigned to them by the author. Characters are those who play roles in a work of art, and these roles are those assigned them by the author. And these roles are varied and many, depending on the incident in the story. These roles are varied and many, depending on the incident in the story. So the characters play different roles. Some are kings, some are queens, some are presidents, some are ministers, some are workers, some are servants. Some are the good guys, some are the bad guys. Some are troublesome, some are peaceful. Some are teachers, some are soldiers. It is for the author to assign this role, depending on the story that he or she wants to tell. Just like it is in the real world. So remember that the character is not only the physical person. Of course, the physical is very important because you begin your characterization by giving the character a name, giving the character a gender, giving the character its traits, physical attributes. In most of the important novels that we have, or creative works that we have, you notice how the author put in a lot of work to describe the face of a character, the distinctive physical attributes of the character, right? Like the nose, the color eyes, the mouth, the teeth, the hair color, and so on and so forth. It's trying to set the character apart from others. How the character walks, how the character dresses. The character's dress sense is quite important. So characterization begins with the name of the character, the gender of the character, and then the physical attributes assigned the character. Quite important. Is the character handsome, beautiful, or fearfully made? Is the character wonderfully made or fearfully made? Okay? Quite important. Is the character talkative or taciturn? Is the character rich or poor? Character wise or foolish? Character tall or a dwarf? It is left for the author to assign these traits. But character is also psychological and behavioral. Character is also psychological and attitudinal. Behavioral. Because that's what character is. Whereas, what's your character? And we have a good character. So character is not only the physical, the name and the physical attributes, whether it's dark skin or fair skin, has dark hair or curly hair. The character is also psychological and attitudinal and behavioral. How does the character behave? This kind of some person that comes in, everybody runs away, the place scatters. Okay, some character is like, I am the kind of person when I enter a place, the place scatters. Place must scatter. Okay? Because they're likely to beat someone. Or is the character like when the person comes to like, wow, this person is beautiful and handsome. Okay? So it depends. So all these are the creation of the author. So we can talk about characterization using the following terms. And talk about characterization using the following terms. We can talk about characterization using the following terms. Hero and heroine. Hero and heroine. Hero and heroine. So the hero is a man, the heroine is a woman. The hero is a man, the heroine is a woman. But there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in using hero to describe a lady in the work of art. Just so you know. They are usually the focus of the work of art. They are usually the focus of the work of art. the hero or the heroine is usually the focus of the work of art, really the important character in the work of art. They are called heroes because they have certain character traits that mark them out from the rest of the characters in the story. They are called heroes because they have certain character traits that mark them out and stand them out from the rest of the characters in the story. For instance, conventional heroes are brave and courageous. Conventional heroes are brave and courageous. They are fearless. They are powerful in the physical sense, like Samson. Okay? They can face threats without flinching. They are known to get themselves involved in battles or war situations, and they perform heroic feats in these battles. The major character trait is self-sacrifice or selflessness, giving their life to the service of others, for the service of others, or even dying to save others. That's what we know heroes for. They go in front to defend those who cannot defend themselves. For instance, that's what we call our soldiers, our heroes. Because while we are sleeping in the house, snoring, right? They are there running after Boko Haram at night, so that you can stay in the house and sleep comfortably. So that's why they are heroes, because they defend others. Sometimes they die in the course of doing that. That is traditional heroism. Of course, we have the tragic hero in the Aristotelian sense. We have the tragic hero in the Aristotelian sense. And according to Aristotle, the tragic hero ought to be a happily placed member of society. The tragic hero ought to be a highly placed member of society, like a king and a queen, like knights. But that he needs to have a moral flow. He needs to have a flow in its moral constitution. Flow is spelled F-L-A-W. And it is this flow that will lead to his downfall, disgrace, or death. This flaw that will lead to his downfall, disgrace, or death. So in the traditional sense, the hero is a highly placed member of society. In conventional heroism, the hero is a highly placed member of society. But in the modern conception of the hero is no more a highly placed member of society. The hero is a common man. The hero is a common man. The trader in the market, the organizer on the roadside, the plumber, technician, the school teacher, the students are all now heroes in their own rights. And what makes them hero what makes them hero could just be some little act of kindness. It doesn't have to be so much. You don't need to pull down a house now in order to be a hero, like Samson did. Okay? You need to win a battle with Israel in order to be a hero. Just some simple acts of kindness. A kind word spoken to lift someone's spirit is heroism. Helping an old man to cross the road or lift a load is heroism. So take note of that. Then we have protagonist and antagonist. We have the protagonist and the antagonist. We have the protagonist and the antagonist. The protagonist is a hero or heroine in a work of art. He is the one that the audience likes. He's the one that the readers like. Or he's the one that the audience sympathizes with. He's the one whose cause earns the audience sympathy. The one that the audience likes, the audience sympathizes with. He's the one the audience loves. But the protagonist is usually opposed by the antagonist. The protagonist is usually opposed by the antagonist, hated by the antagonist. The antagonist usually tries to pull down the protagonist, makes him suffer a great deal in the work of art. Although victory is always on the side of the protagonist. So the antagonist is the character that opposes the protagonist. The antagonist is the character that opposes the protagonist. In simpler terms, we can use actor and boss to define the role of the protagonist and the antagonist. Where the protagonist is actor and the antagonist is boss. Right? And in those days, when children will be analyzing films, they will talk about how the boss was hitting the actor, kicking the actor. Okay? And the actor was almost dying until miraculously the actor does something that maybe the boss did not see that he was standing near the edge of the ship. So all the actor was to do is just to move what he was standing on, and he falls into the ocean and dies. Okay? So that the motive is there that the protagonist will suffer in the hand of the antagonist a great deal in the work. Okay? But that towards the end something will happen. Something sudden and unexpected will happen that will save the protagonist. And then will lead to the destruction of the antagonist. Amen, somebody.
Amen.
So this is where we are going to drop the class for today. We'll continue from here.